Imagine someone who just received a bonus at work or saved up money over the years. Instead of investing, this person decides to turn the kitchen into a space worthy of a magazine cover. Italian marble countertops, imported faucets, exclusive designer lighting. Seems like a great investment, right? After all, it increases the value of the property, people say. But here's the problem. When that house is put up for sale, the new buyer won't want to pay exactly for what you dreamed of. They might prefer another style, have other priorities, or simply not be willing to pay the price you believe it's worth. And what happens? You recover maybe 50% of what you spent, sometimes less. Meanwhile, that money could be working for you. Invested in a real estate fund, it could generate monthly income. Invested in stocks of good companies, it could grow year after year. Instead, it became invisible luxury beautiful, but with no return. And that's where the trap lies. Expensive aesthetic renovations give the illusion of progress, but are often just distractions from the real path to financial freedom. This doesn't mean you can't improve your home, but it does mean that each improvement needs to be thought of as an investment. Will this bring me a return? Will it increase my income or financial security, or is it just disguised vanity? Those who truly want to build wealth learn to differentiate need from indulgence. Because at the end of the day, a beautiful home doesn't pay your bills, but a well-made investment can even pay for your retirement. You know that corner of the garage you avoid looking at? Or the basement full of boxes that no one's opened for years? Well, there might be hiding one of the biggest drains on your wealth, silent, dusty, and often forgotten. Many people buy things just in case. A treadmill for a new running habit that only lasted 2 weeks, a state-of-the-art drill for repairs that never happened, seasonal decorations that are used only once a year. And so, little by little, money accumulates in the form of forgotten objects. Now think about this. If you add up the value of everything that's just sitting there, you might discover you have the equivalent of a small savings thrown in a corner. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars idle, losing value each month. And worse, many of these items depreciate quickly. That is, something bought for $500 today isn't worth even $150. Meanwhile, that same money could be generating returns. It could be earning interest, buying stocks, or even invested in a small business you want to start. And it's not just about money. These objects also take up mental space. Every time you walk past that mess, you feel something's pending. There's disorganization, and that drains your energy even without realizing it. That's why the advice is simple. Turn excess into opportunity. Do a clean-out, sell what's idle, donate what no longer makes sense, and reinvest the value into something that really contributes to your future, because every idle item is tied-up capital. And those who want financial freedom learn to let money flow, not pile up dust. Have you ever been through this? A relative calls saying they have an urgent problem. A friend asks for just a quick loan to make it through the month. And with a soft heart you help. After all, it's family, it's friendship, it's the right thing to do, isn't it? But here's the trap. When that help repeats with no limit, it stops being an act of generosity and becomes a hole in your own financial journey. At first, it seems small, 100 here, 200 there. But over time, small favors turn into a constant outflow of money. And the most dangerous part, this creates dependence. The person stops looking for solutions and starts relying on you as plan B, C, or D. And then, when you finally realize it, you're sacrificing your own plans. Your emergency fund disappears, your investments stop, and worse, you start to feel guilty for not being able to say no. That's why financially smart people set limits. They create a generosity budget, a monthly or annual amount they're willing to give without compromising their future. And more importantly, They prefer to offer practical help instead of just money, a course, a professional contact, a sincere conversation about how to get out of the situation. Because helping is not sustaining. True help is the kind that teaches to fish, not that hands out fish every day. So before opening your wallet again, stop and think, am I really helping this person grow, or am I just postponing their problem and creating a new one for myself? Financial freedom also requires courage. Courage to be generous and to say no when necessary. Many people think that having a luxury car is synonymous with success. And so they go out of their way to buy a sports sedan, an imported SUV, or a brand new model, even if it means getting into debt for 5, 6, or even 7 years. The problem is that the car, unlike an investment, loses value with every mile driven. You leave the dealership with that new car smell, but also with a debt that immediately starts draining your income and brings no return. On top of high payments, there's also more expensive insurance, maintenance that's not cheap at all, and taxes proportional to the status. And then, month after month, that dream car starts becoming a financial nightmare. Meanwhile, you know what many real millionaires do? They drive used, simple, and reliable cars. Why? Because they understand that a car is a means of transport, not a vanity trophy. They prefer to use their money to buy assets, things that put more money in their pockets, instead of liabilities that only take away. And over time, that mindset makes all the difference. Because while some show success with the car they drive, others build success with the investments they accumulate. So before signing a loan that will tie you up for years, ask yourself, am I buying this because I need it, or because I want to prove something to someone? Remember, status doesn't pay retirement, but smart decisions do, and with interest. Many believe that having a big, beautiful, and well-located house is the peak of financial achievement. And in part, it's true, it's a legitimate dream for many people. But what few realize is that owning a valuable property doesn't mean having financial freedom. Do you know someone who lives in a house worth $500,000 but can barely pay the bills each month? Or who, in the face of a $1,000 emergency, needs to resort to loans or credit cards? That's the reality for many. They are rich on paper but broke in practice. And the reason is simple. Big houses bring proportional expenses, property taxes, condo fees, maintenance, furniture, energy, insurance. Everything costs more. And the property, no matter how beautiful, doesn't generate income unless you rent it out. Plus, real estate is a low liquidity asset. In other words, if you need to turn that asset into quick cash, you'll probably have to sell in a hurry and below market value. Result, lots of immobilized equity and little money flowing. Those who understand finances know real wealth is measured in liquidity and cash flow, not just assets. Having a good, comfortable house that you can afford is a blessing. But if it's keeping you from investing, saving, or growing, maybe the property is too big for your current stage in life. It's not about living poorly, but about living well and wisely. Because freedom is not having the biggest house on the block. It's being able to sleep peacefully, knowing you can face any unforeseen event without fear, without debt, and without sacrificing your future. Few things seem as harmless as paying the credit card minimum. It's just a tight month, right? Next month you'll pay it all off. But that's where the trap starts, silent, sneaky, and very dangerous. When you pay only the minimum amount on the bill, you're actually financing the rest with one of the highest interest rates in the market. And those interests are like termites in a wooden structure. You don't see them, but they're destroying your finances from the inside. A $5,000 credit card debt, if not paid and rolled month after month with average interest, can turn into more than $12,000 in a few years. And all this without buying anything new. It's just interest compounding on top of itself, month after month. A true cycle of impoverishment. And the most dangerous part? This trap disguises itself as convenience. The card gives you that feeling of power, of freedom. I'll solve this now and organize it later. But the later never comes, and what seemed like help becomes a prison. Financially intelligent people do the opposite. They use the card responsibly, always pay the full amount of the bill, and never count on it as an extension of income. It's a tool, not a source of money. And if the debt is already there, take a deep breath, negotiate. Prioritize that payment above any other unnecessary expense, because paying off your credit card is like cutting the anchor that's holding you back. Remember, financial freedom is not about earning more. It's about stopping the loss to invisible thieves. And credit card interest is one of the worst among them. For a long time, we believed that the formula for success was simple. Study hard, get a good diploma, and with that, secure a great job. And indeed, education can open doors. But the question few ask is, what is the real cost of that diploma? And what return does it bring? Imagine someone who invests $100,000 in a renowned university, dreaming of a brilliant career, but after graduating, discovers that the market is saturated, the starting salary is low, and with luck, it'll take 20 or 30 years to pay off the student loan. That's when they can even get a job in the field. That's where the danger comes in, confusing prestige with financial return. Not every diploma is worth what it costs, and what was supposed to be a springboard to success becomes an anchor that keeps the person tied up for decades in payments, frustrations, and limitations. Meanwhile, many professionals who chose alternative paths like technical courses, public universities, or vocational education spent less, started working earlier, and in a few years already had their financial life in order. It's not about devaluing education. On the contrary, educating yourself is essential. But the world has changed, and today knowledge is everywhere on the internet, in mentorships, in online courses, many of them free or very cheap. The secret is to learn strategically, seek education that brings return, not just titles. Before investing in an expensive course, ask yourself, how much will I pay for this over the years? How long will it take to recover that amount? Is there a cheaper way to learn the same skill? Does this diploma really bring me closer to financial freedom? Or does it just increase my debt? Those who want to prosper need to make education a lever, not a trap. And sometimes the best investment is not in the dream college, but in the right skill, learned the right way, at the right time. When it comes to financial protection, life insurance appears as a sensible solution, and in fact, it can be. But there is a specific type that many people buy thinking they're investing in the future, when in reality they're signing up for one of the most expensive and least efficient financial products in the market, whole life insurance. This type of insurance is sold as a mix of protection and investment. It promises lifetime coverage and also a built-in savings that grows over time. Sounds perfect, right? But the truth comes hidden in the fine print. The commissions are very high, the administrative fees consume a large part of what you put in, and the money grows extremely slowly. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. You put money in month after month, but it leaks out without you realizing it. Meanwhile, there is a much smarter alternative. Buy term life insurance to protect your family in case of the unexpected and invest the rest on your own. For example, if you spend $500 a month on whole life insurance, you might get term insurance for $50 and investing the other $450 in index funds, stocks, or bonds could generate much more return over the years. That's why personal finance experts like Suze Orman and Dave Ramsey are clear. Insurance is for protection. Investment is something else. Never mix the two. Unfortunately, whole life insurance is aggressively pushed by brokers, not because it's good for you, but because it generates large commissions for those who sell it. And who pays that bill? You. If you've already signed up for one, don't blame yourself. Many well-intentioned people fall for this promise, but now that you understand how it works, you can reassess. Talk to an independent financial planner, review the contract, and see if it makes sense to continue. Remember, the goal is not just to protect yourself, it's to grow financially with intelligence. And for that, you need to put your money where it really works for you, not where it slowly disappears while you believe you're safe. Few things touch our hearts as much as our children, and it's natural to want to see them happy, safe, comfortable. But there's a fine line between helping out of love and preventing their growth, and yours too. Today, many parents keep paying rent, bills, cell phone plans, cars, even trips for children who are already over 25, 30, and sometimes even older. And that wouldn't be a problem if it weren't compromising their own financial freedom. The truth is harsh, but it needs to be said. The more you financially support your adult children, the more you delay or destroy your own retirement. While you pay their expenses, who's taking care of your emergency fund, your future, your security in old age? And we're not talking about abandonment here, but about education and boundaries. Because true love also teaches responsibility. Supporting them indefinitely is like preventing a bird from learning to fly. It will never grow wings if someone is always carrying it. Helping with advice, offering temporary housing during a transition, contributing to education or mentorship. All of that is valid. But turning help into routine without a plan for independence harms both sides. Besides, many parents do this out of guilt. They feel they need to make up for what they didn't give in childhood, or they believe it's a lifelong duty to take care of their kids. But the greatest inheritance you can leave is not money, it's independence, values, and example. And remember, healthy adult children are capable of building their own journey. And parents who take care of themselves, plan and age with dignity, inspire more than any check at the end of the month. Before helping again, ask yourself, is this creating independence or prolonging dependence? Am I really helping or just avoiding temporary discomfort? Is my retirement secure? Because at the end of the day, if you don't take care of yourself, one day it will be you who needs help. And that's certainly not the future your children want to see. Sometimes what most prevents us from getting rich is not the lack of money, but the attachment to what we believe is wealth. Huge houses, luxury cars, designer clothes, expensive watches, diplomas framed on the wall, all of that may seem like symbols of success, but not always. The problem starts when these goods become a source of pride, even if they're silently undermining your financial progress. The truth is that many of the assets we proudly display are, in practice, disguised liabilities. They consume time, maintenance, taxes, interest, and rarely put money back in your pocket. Think about it. The beach house you only use twice a year, but pay condo fees and maintenance all year round. The extremely expensive car that requires sky-high insurance and depreciates every month. The expensive international MBA that never brought the promised salary increase. All of it sounds like achievement, but it could be holding you back. And the most subtle part, sometimes the attachment isn't financial, it's emotional. It's the sense of status. It's what others will think. It's the fear of looking less if you give up certain things. But here's the point, truly rich people don't live for appearances. They live by strategy. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, has lived in the same modest house since 1958. Why? Because he knows that real wealth doesn't shout, it grows in silence. If you need to maintain a high lifestyle just to appear successful, maybe you're sacrificing your freedom for other people's opinion. And worse, maybe you're keeping yourself poor trying to look rich. There's nothing wrong with having comfort. The problem is when comfort turns into a prison. And the most curious part is that often we even cling to these things with pride. This is my dream home. A car was the gift I gave myself for so much effort. That diploma cost me dearly, but it's there on the wall. But pride by itself doesn't pay bills and doesn't create freedom. The question you need to ask is simple, but powerful. Is this making me richer, or just giving me the feeling that I'm rich? Because there's a huge difference between seeming and being, between showing off and building, between status and freedom. The truly rich don't accumulate symbols, they accumulate assets that work for them. And more importantly, they know how to give up what shines today to have peace of mind tomorrow. So before fiercely defending a possession that's draining your time, your energy, and your money, take a pause and reflect. Maybe it's time to let go of that weight and make room for what really matters. The building of wealth begins when you stop feeding your ego and start feeding your future. Maybe now you're realizing that it wasn't a lack of effort that kept you from prospering. It's that for a long time you were taught to invest in what others value, not in what truly builds freedom. They told you that an expensive diploma would make you rich, that a luxury car would earn you respect, that a huge house was the symbol of victory. But no one explained that true wealth isn't in what you show, it's in what you build in silence. Do you know what the good news is? You don't have to wait another 10 years to change that. You can start today with what you already have, where you are. And you don't have to do it all at once, just one step. Organize your finances, review your priorities, turn liabilities into assets, and above all, decide that your freedom is worth more than other people's opinions. Because in the end, what makes you rich is not what you own. It's what you do, day after day, with what you have. You don't need an inheritance, a lottery prize, or a stroke of luck. What you need is clarity. Clarity to see what's holding you back. Courage to give up what looks like wealth but drains your energy. And discipline to plant a new seed of freedom every day. Most people stay stuck because they're too busy trying to maintain an appearance. But you're not here to seem. You're here to grow. To stop being a slave to status and become the builder of a solid future. And every small decision, no matter how minor it seems, is a brick in that construction. Selling that idle item, replacing the car with a simpler one, stopping the support of habits that drain you, all of that is progress, and progress is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Financial freedom is not a distant destination. It is the result of a series of conscious choices made every day. And you can start right now. You no longer need to live on autopilot. You have the power to choose, to change, to turn the key, because it's not about how much you earn. It's about what you do with what you earn. There are people who, with $10,000 a month, remain trapped in debt. And there are those who, with $2,000, are already investing, saving, and growing. The difference is in the mindset. Owner mindset, not victim mindset. Mindset of someone who doesn't wait for the government, the company, or luck to solve things, but instead takes control of their own story, even if it starts small, even if no one believes you have that power, even if you've made mistakes until now, even if you're starting over from scratch, even if no one ever taught you before. Because when you change your way of thinking, you change your decisions. And when you change your decisions, you change your destiny. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Few people have the courage to face the truth about money with such honesty. And even fewer have the willingness to change. But you do. Now it's up to you. Review your habits, question your expenses, turn liabilities into assets, and above all, make your financial freedom a priority, because no one will build that future for you. But you can. One step a day, one decision at a time. And if this video helped you see the hidden traps that were stopping your growth, then share it with someone who also needs that turning point. Oh, and don't forget, like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep receiving content that will help you truly build a life with more security, freedom, and purpose. See you in the next video.